The topic of psychology in general is ambiguous and fluid and nuanced and open to interpretation, but there are some fundamental principles that I think apply to the shadow. Carl Jung, the father of modern analytical psychology, coined the term shadow work. In this dream session tonight, I want to explore the shadows of the psyche to talk about exactly what they are, how we can identify them, and I want to give some actionable steps and some real-world examples. Everyone has darker aspects of themselves that they repress, that they don't acknowledge, and in refusing to accept that, you feed that shadow. The shadow is fed from ignorance. Jung explained it as trying to suppress the darker aspects of your personality, these things that pop into your mind that you think they might make you a bad person, so you choose to ignore them. They don't actually go away. They'll always be with you. The only way to live with them productively is to find a way to integrate them, not to suppress them or ignore them. Some people I know, when they hear the term shadow work, they think it's almost like doing some dark spells or something. Shadow work is not dogmatic in that sense. There's no religion, there's no cult-like following. Shadow work is really just a psychological journey that humans take to explore their own psyche. And there are actionable steps you can take to learn how to integrate your shadow. It's not something that you can do overnight and then you'll be cured for the rest of your life. Shadow work is just the acknowledgement and the integration of your darker, repressed personality, and it's a lifelong process. It's not something that just happens overnight. You can learn to integrate shadows and live with them, but there will always be more that you'll be adding to that. What makes up the shadow self? Just like we have our personal consciousness, our personal unconscious, and then there's the collective unconscious, there's a personal shadow. There's shadows that we deal with personally on a day-to-day basis, and then there's cultural shadows that are more broad and widely formed by larger bodies of intellect and intention in our society. The shadow is described usually as darker aspects that we reject, whether it's our desire for independence can be seen as a dark thing, and obviously our aggression and our sexual desires. And we don't own these shadows. They're not exclusively a personal part of us. They're a part of the collective unconscious that we all share. In the same sense that a shadow that's cast on the ground, it's essentially the same thing as the darkness that's out there in space, the emptiness. It is the lack of light. Yes, your shadow is your shadow, but it's not a phenomenon that's exclusive to you. You can't escape your shadow. The only way to escape a shadow is to be completely encompassed in ultimate darkness. Or to make an individual shadow go away, you just have to shine a light on it. That would be to acknowledge it. Then it's not a shadow anymore. It's not some mysterious term that people use. It really applies metaphorically on every level in every way. But I have to mention the laws of science that apply here. The scientific law of conservation. Energy can never be created or destroyed. The law of transmutation. Energy is never solid. It's always in motion, and it's always changing form. Energy always changes from one form to another. It can't be created or destroyed. Those are important principles to realize. These sensations, these thoughts, and these ideas that we have that apply to the shadow self, these instinctual principles that pop up in our mind, they have their own energy. Everything has a measurable energy. It's not the lack of energy. This shadow, it's fed from these ideas and these thoughts that we have. The point of the scientific law of conservation, that energy can never be created or destroyed. It only transmutates. It only changes form. When you're ignoring the shadow aspects, when you're ignoring these thoughts that you have that are not culturally accepted, you're not making them go away. It can't be destroyed. They will only change form. And that's when the shadow can get really dark and can show itself and can spill out in these negative ways, these extreme ways. Now, it's the perfect classical example of the office guy who gets bullied and pushed around a lot in his office, and then he comes back and shoots up the office. That's the because the shadow has been built up so much. But the shadows are not inherently negative, and that's important to understand, because just like a plant needs light to grow and we need light to grow, too much light will also kill a plant. All living things need a balance of light and dark. If we all get too much sun, we know that can be detrimental. Darkness, shadows are necessary. They're a fundamental, necessary aspect of our reality. You can't escape these shadows. That's the entire point here, and I think that's what most people struggle with, is that they have these ideas and these thoughts and these sensations, and they think they need to separate from them because they don't want it to become part of their identity. One aspect of the human psyche that Carl Jung talks about often is the persona. A persona is what we choose to show to people. It's the social mask we put on. It's the psychological mask. It's all the things that we want people to think about us and believe about us and notice about us. It's how we portray ourselves to the world. All those things that you keep inside and you never bring them out to show them to the world, everything that you don't acknowledge, those are what make up your shadow self. From a young age, a lot of us are kind of trained and coaxed away from this shadow. We're taught to not acknowledge it. And that could be good. It's good to teach a child that they can't just have an outrage every time they don't get their way. It's good to teach a child that they can't just say what they think every time they think it. Sometimes there's some things that don't need to be said. The issue with that is that a lot of times these kids, they don't learn healthy ways to integrate those aspects of themselves. Say there's a young girl and when she's a little girl running around, she just automatically speaks her mind. You walk up to the neighbor lady and tell her, why is your butt so big? Like, we all know how kids can be brutally honest in that sense, and it's innocent and it's cute. But a lot of times people will teach their child not to say those things and not to do those things, but then they don't tell them and they don't teach them that there is a time and a place and a healthy way to acknowledge these things. If you want to do stand-up comedy or in casual conversation with your friends, there will be times when you can just speak your mind freely and you can say the first thing that comes to mind, and it's okay and it will be accepted. A lot of people, they don't teach their kids that. They only teach them what not to say and when not to say it. They don't teach them what to say and when to say it. That will build up their shadow self. And for that little girl, as an example, if her parents are always teaching her, well, don't argue back, don't question, because I said so, that we don't need any further conversation in this aspect, that girl may grow up with the inclination to not want to speak her mind and not want to stand up for herself, because her parents tried to teach her that and they were thinking they were doing the right thing, but they don't realize that later on that can manifest as her being completely manipulated at school or in her job. She might not have the confidence to be able to ask for a raise, or she might not have the confidence to speak up to a manager when they're treating her wrong, because her parents were taught that only leads to conflict. Young boys with their rage, generally, like boys, especially, I know, like, there's been tests and studies done on this, like 2-year-old boys are the most violent human beings on the planet. Statistically, you get a group of 1,000 2-year-olds and then 1,000 of every other age group. The 2-year-olds will have the most biting and punching and kicking and screaming. These boys are exploring their shadows. They're just becoming aware of those certain aspects of their shadow. Generally, they're taught you don't do that. You don't hit, you don't punch, you don't kick, you don't scream, ever. And then a lot of boys, they struggle finding ways to express that aggression, that natural aggression. Aggression is necessary, and sometimes extreme aggression is necessary. And that's why the shadow is a necessary aspect of ourselves. We can't escape it, and we need it, and we need to learn how to work with it. The shadow comes into play when the conscious mind doesn't have the capacity or the time to evaluate the situation that it's in. That's when the instinctual shadow comes out. Then it gets that fight or flight instinct. And if there's no flight available, then that cat's gonna fight. And that's where the shadow comes in. And as all beings, we're all put in situations where we have to choose a strong, forceful way to push through something. If we're taught that aggression is always a bad thing and that there's always negative repercussions to that aggression, then, and we're always trying to suppress it, then when it is necessary, we won't understand how to use it. We won't be familiar with it enough to use it effectively. It's important to teach kids growing up and just to talk to your friends and the people around you about ways to integrate these shadows, these darker aspects of yourself. I know me personally, one thing I realized was that at a very young age, I was writing poetry. That was one way of me integrating my shadow, and we're going to talk more about the anima and the animus in a few minutes here, but like my music, that turned into me writing lyrics. And generally for young men, if they're writing songs or they're writing poetry, sister, you said you don't feel aggressive generally. Yes, and females are generally less aggressive than males, but you do feel aggressive sometimes, and it's good to find healthy ways to express that aggression. Now, everyone's different. There is no one perfect way for someone to approach and integrate their shadow that you can apply to everyone across the board. Everyone has their own ways. Now, I want to talk about some of those ways, because what's the point of discussing these if we don't come up with actionable steps that we can take? I think it's really important. Otherwise, I might be up here, it might seem like I'm just talking about a bunch of obscure psychological metaphysics, when really these are just life strategies, daily strategies that we all have to live through. And there are ways to work through them, for example, for young men, or for anyone in general. How do we release this aggression? A great way is through exercise. Exercise, and obviously sports. Sports is a healthy way to integrate that aggression and that power that we all feel inside of us that sometimes we want to bring out. But it doesn't only have to be sports, and it doesn't only have to be exercise. Those are obviously great ways of doing it. For me, for the most part, I like to exercise, and I feel like that does help. But yeah, even hitting the punching bag. But other than that, writing my music was a great way for me to integrate my shadow. I could acknowledge a lot of this anger that I have, and I could bring it out artistically and creatively and proactively instead of in destructive ways. Instead of going out and cursing out people and getting in arguments and getting in fistfights all the time, you can turn that to the page. And that's what I chose to do. And I really believe that a lot of the greatest artists and especially a lot of the greatest lyricists and musicians, and I think most of us understand that a lot of the greatest art and music has come from the darker aspects of someone's personality. There is no hero without a struggle. And this is why the shadow aspects are so important in life. And also, love songs are very prominent in music, but also breakup songs. You said art always calms you down. Art is a great way to integrate that shadow. And then, so for someone who doesn't make music, who doesn't write lyrics like me, and for someone that doesn't want to work out, what are other ways that people can find healthy ways to integrate the shadow? And I realized, and I was just thinking about this earlier today, it came to my mind that it's not just making music for me. That wasn't the only way for me to integrate my shadow. Listening to music, just enjoying music and being engulfed in music is a great way to integrate your shadow. Because shadow integration is all about, it starts with acknowledgement, like I said in the beginning there. First, you have to recognize that you have these shadows, and these shadows exist. And if you ignore them, they'll only grow more powerful. The only way to release them, or you can't release them, you integrate them in healthy ways, is to acknowledge them, is to recognize them and meditate on them. Don't dwell on them. There's a difference. Once you meditate on them,